Today on Woodturning, we're going to talk about trees.
Tim's American Beauty was made by Robust Tools, America's premier lathe manufacturer. Quality hardened tool rests and live centers too. Robust. Built to turn wood. Enjoyed for a lifetime.
Easy Wood Tools, best-in-class carbide wood turning tools.
Thompson Lathe Tools, made by a woodturner, for woodturners.
Today I decided to take some of my projects for a walk. We've all been cooped up and doing our social distancing. I thought it'd be nice to do a show outside. So what I've got are a bunch of projects in here, and I'm going to show you where they came from in the tree and talk about some of my favorite woods. And actually one of my favorite woods I have is right here in front of us, and it's a hackberry. And this is a phenomenal example of one. And it is a beautiful tree, and it sure is a lot of fun to turn. What a great day to be outside. You can hear the birds chirping. People mowing. Well, I guess I can't complain. So let's start with the elephant in the room. Most people ask, where'd that bowl come from? And actually, if it's a wood turner, they might mean, where did it come from inside of the tree? So if you look at this is a great hickory right here. I don't have any wood for that. I do have a bowl that is a sycamore, which is one of my favorite woods to turn. So where did this bowl sit inside the tree before we made it? Well, think of the pith running right down here in the center. This bowl sat just like this in the tree. Bark on this side, pith on this side. So it makes a really nice bowl. If anything, it might warp a little bit on the edges because of the pith going through it, but if you stay clear of the pith, you wind up with a bowl like this. Now, if you want to do a natural edge bowl, how does it sit in the tree? It sits just, oh crap, my day's going good. This is one of the previous projects we did, and I gotta glue that back on. Anyway, so this is a really cool looking bowl, right? Well, how in the world does that sit in the tree? It kind of gets confusing, but when you do it like this and put it like this, see? It curves just like the tree trunk curves. So that's how this piece sits in the tree. So when you're harvesting your wood, you know which way you want to cut it for whichever effect you want. If you want to go that way, or if you want to go that way. Okay, for our next tree, whoa, we want to stay 6 feet away from that one. Oh, and by the way, we're at Woodward Park in Tulsa, Oklahoma. It's the arboretum that they have here. It's a fantastic place to see a lot of different types of trees. And the cool thing about it is in this day and age of what we're going through, trees are really therapeutic. So getting outside in nature is probably one of the best things you can do for yourself right now. Now, branch wood is a really cool piece of wood to use for a lot of projects. When I harvest it, I usually cut it, you know, about this length. This piece of holly I've had since about a year ago, I guess. But the projects are very varied that you can do. This was the branch wood vase that we did a long time ago, and it's really beautiful. You have to deal with the pith in the wood at this point because you're using the whole branch, right? And see, this branch was sitting just like that in a tree. So that's pretty cool. I'm using the stem that came out of it, so we've got everything like that. You know, we're using all the natural look, but anyway, you're gonna have to deal with the pith, so it's gonna want to crack, so that's why I made it into a vase and cut the center out. The pith is under a lot of pressure and it wants to crack. Now here, if you want to work with a smaller branch, you know, a branch that's like this way in the tree and probably about 2 inches wide, you can make what they call a drunken goblet. This didn't warp like I wanted it to, but everything else looks pretty doggone cool. You can see the pith down in there, and it's just dead center in there. So branch wood is one of my favorite woods to use. So probably the most common turning you're going to do besides a bowl turning are spindle turnings. And what does that mean? Well, it means you're turning with the grain of the wood. Imagine this tree is filled with thousands of straws that are going up and down. There's a tube at the bottom right here, and then that tube runs all the way up to the top of the tree. That's how the tree puts the nutrients through its whole canopy and everything, and it feeds itself, right? So the grain running this way is strong. The grain running this way is fragile. So let me, I don't get poked here. Here's a rolling pin. It's made out of purple heart, really nice wood. If this was cut this way in the tree here, the grain would be running this way and just break off in sections. But since it's like this, you can see the grain in it, right? Those are the straws running up and down. So it's a bunch of straws all tightly bound together, so it's not going to snap. It's really, really strong. Other projects that will be spindle turnings will be things like goblets. You can do those. They're really pretty cool. And then another one, here's our porcupine. He's out of a piece of hard maple. So he was sitting in the tree just like that. Not without his quills, but he was sitting in the tree like that. Now, I'm looking for a tree that's had a bit of a hard time. That's a little too rough. We call that Oklahoma firewood. So this tree's had a little bit of a rough time, and this is where people get a little bit confused sometimes. This is a scar where a branch used to be. So the tree's trying to cover it up to protect itself. You can see there's still a bit of a hole here. Sometimes you'll see them up here that look like this, and people go, oh, that's a burl. Nope, it's not a burl. Again, it's a scar. Now you might find some usable wood in this, but not usually. See how it's hollowed out and everything? It's pretty ugly. You might have to cast this in resin if you want to do anything with it. But the thing you're looking for that is really valuable is the burl, right? Well, what does a burl look like? Well, let's look at this tree. Right now, I don't see anything great on it, but come over here, way up there. See that? Now that's a burl. That's not a branch coming out. See all the different bumps and lumps on it? It's got a different shape to it. So when you going down here, so here you can kind of see the difference. This one had the bark knocked off it, but see how all these little warts and things are coming out of it. A tree is kind of like having a hard time. It's not cancer, but it kind of acts like it. The grain is growing in weird directions. So then when you look at the backside, my cat Leave It was on here and he put his hair all over this thing. Sorry about that. See the really cool patterns in here? I mean, that is awesome. So that is the difference between a burl and a scar. Bronze wood. Here's one of our recent projects, a crotchwood platter. Now crotchwood kind of sounds like you need an ointment for it, but not really. It's where branches come into the trunk of the tree. And it's that intersection right there that creates this beautiful feathered pattern in the wood. This is a fantastic piece of wood that you should never throw away or discard because you can always make something that looks really beautiful from it. Now this is a magnificent example of the saucer magnolia. And this is a rare variety only found in Oklahoma because it puts off giant seed pods that you can actually turn. And there have been stories of people actually being killed by the seed pods as they fall down because they're so heavy. There's a few of them here on the ground. Can you imagine something like this whacking you in the head? That's pretty impressive. Okay, this is actually an Australian pod. It's called a Banksia pod. But if you believe me, I do have some property I'd like to show you. So I hope that kind of made sense on where you can find some of your projects inside of trees. It's amazing where they all come from. So until the next time on wood turning, keep turning and keep your distance.
Tim's American Beauty was made by Robust Tools, America's premier lathe manufacturer. Quality hardened tool rests and live centers too. Robust. Built to turn wood. Enjoyed for a lifetime.
Easy Wood Tools, best in class carbide wood turning tools.
Thompson lathe tools, made by a woodturner, for woodturners.